All right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Matt Modi here with another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Live through the first round of the NBA playoffs. So we'll go up until the end of the first round. Live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time, 11 a.m. Eastern. Going through the entire slate. And for the playoffs, probably hoping to give out picks for like the next couple days as well, since we're going live every other day. As for today, it's just the two play-in games that we have. And then we'll cover on Friday's stream the last two play-in games and then some of the first round games as well. So two games today. We did end the season on somewhat of a hot streak, which was nice. We had 3 straight streams that ended in the green. So let's hope we can keep that going. We're still down a little bit on the entire season, but it's nice to end the year on a hot streak. And then, of course, we'll have picks for every game. And then, of course, we'll have a same game parlay at the end as well. Most importantly, get all of your questions, anything you want in the chat. It's definitely going to be a shorter stream because there's only 2 games. So any questions or whatever comments you have that you can put in the chat just to help me out a little bit would be appreciative. I love hearing from all the people tuning in. It's definitely more fun the more interactive we have and the more people we have chatting. So again, definitely make sure to get all your questions, all your comments, whatever in the chat, whether it's a play that you like, that you just want to shout out, or that you want my thoughts on, or you just want to say what's up. Whatever you want to do is fine. Then, of course, subscribe to the BettingPros YouTube channel, and you can find me basically at all my on any social media at my handle you see on the screen here at Jedi Modi. But we can get into it, so we're just going to go game by game. So we're going to start off with the Heat versus 76ers. And as for the mainline play, I am going to have a mainline play on each one. I'm just taking the Heat plus 5.5. It's been climbing more and more in favor of the Sixers as the favorites. Like, I think it opened up at 3.5 or 4. I know for a fact yesterday when I looked at it, it was Sixers minus 4.5. Now it's jumped up another point to Sixers minus 5.5. And I just can't get there. I think that it's just crazy that the Sixers, you expect them to win by 6 points. Like, we've never seen the Sixers win an important playoff game basically in the last decade since Embiid has been a member of the Sixers. And I know that it's a play-in game and that the Heat lost the play-in game last year and that they basically, it got lucky to win the second play-in game, but it's still an incredibly important game for both teams. Not only does the winner, just get guaranteed as the 7th seed, right? That's obviously incredibly important, but also the winner avoids the Celtics. If, let's say, whoever loses this game wins the next game, you have to play the Celtics in the first round. And I know that the Heat can say they're not scared of anybody. They probably would rather play the Knicks than they would the Celtics, even though they did beat both teams in the playoffs last year. And I'm not saying that the Knicks are going to be easy fodder for whoever wins this game, but the Knicks certainly aren't the Celtics. That's for sure. And there's just been too much playoff disappointments for the Sixers, too much of them not showing up in the playoffs, too much of the opposite for the Heat have been showing up in the playoffs, that not only for you to tell me that the Sixers are going to win the game straight up, but then win by 6, I just think is crazy. I know that's not like the most analytical argument in the world. And a lot of times on these streams, I like to be as data focused as I can. But sometimes it really just is as simple as Spo in a do or die game, Jimmy Butler in a do or die game against the Sixers, who have, and I know I'm wearing a Sixers jacket, so I can promise you I'm intimately aware of all the playoff disappointments. They have not won a single important playoff game since Embiid has been a member. Like, yeah, congrats, you can beat the Wizards in the first round. But any second round game that's important, they had a 3-2 lead against the Celtics last year, and then they flopped 2 straight games. Obviously, that Hawks series was brutal. They've lost to the Celtics in 3 playoff series, Embiid has specifically. So even if they lose this game, they don't want to go against the Celtics. So they also lost to the Heat in 6 a couple years ago, in just 2 games where the Sixers didn't even bother showing up. It's just, it's too much for me to get to the Sixers. Heat plus 5.5 is definitely my favorite play on the entire board, because not only again, you tell me the Sixers win straight up, but then cover 6 points, I think is crazy. I have a hard time getting there for the Sixers. Zana, great call yesterday on Zion. I know. We had him, over 24.5, 23.5. He scored 40 points. That would have been a juicy ladder if we had taken that. All right, so the main line play that we have, obviously, as I mentioned, Wiz with Beal and Russ, that was a decent win. That Wizards team was terrible. They were the 8 seed. That Wizards team was awful. They even won 1 game without Embiid. So I appreciate the positivity, but I would not put that in the category of a good win. So yeah, the Heat minus 5.5, plus 5.5 is our first play. Then we're going with a player prop. Joel Embiid over 1.5 first quarter assists, minus 120 odds at DraftKings. So I will admit, I initially gave this play out on my own at over 4.5 assists. But if you look at those odds, they got nuked to high heaven. So like minus 150, it's really not touching Embiid over 4.5 assists anymore. So instead, I pivoted to the first quarter assists as well. And not as well. Instead, which is actually a play that I do really like. That I was close to just taking the 1.5 first quarter assists in general without even taking the mainline play. Excuse me. But I think this first quarter assist is an awesome spot. So since Embiid has returned from his injury, he's only played 5 games, and he's only cashed in 3 of the 5 games. So you might say, why do you like this play so much? But it's a play based on the matchup of how I expect the Heat defense to play Embiid. And it's also a play because Embiid has been really, really good as a passer. I mean, the entire year, and specifically since he returned from injury as well. These two teams played maybe 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And the Sixers won that game. Sorry, I'm mixing up the Heat and Sixers a bunch. The Sixers won that game. And Embiid was phenomenal from a scoring perspective in the first quarter. He scored double-digit points in the first quarter. Then the Heat changed up their defense a little bit. And Embiid, in quarters 2 through 3, had 10 potential assists. So in quarter 1, he only had 1 assist, and he had 1 potential assist. That was one of the games in which Embiid obviously did not go over the 1.5 first quarter assist number. But like I said, he ended that game with 11 potential assists. He had 10 in quarters 2 through 4. That shows a clear difference in how this Heat played him. And I'm expecting the Heat to do that from the jump in this game, basically saying, Embiid, you're not going to get single coverage. We're going to send aggressive double teams at you. We're going to be creative with it. And we're going to beg you to pass the ball and beg anybody else to beat us. And Embiid has been awesome as a passer this year. So I do expect him to be up to the task, at least from a passing perspective and racking up assists. And if you look at the 5 games since he returned from injury, he's had 10 or more potential assists in 4 of the 5 games. The one game he didn't, he only played 22 minutes and he scored 30 points. That was against the Grizzlies. It's like night and day going up against the Heat versus going up against the Grizzlies. So I think that this is going to be a good passing game for Embiid. I have not done it yet, but I do think that if you wanted to ladder him up to 6, 8, 10 assists, obviously scaling down your unit size, I don't think is a terrible idea. That's something that I'll probably consider doing over the course of the day. But as of right now, we're just rocking with the first quarter assists. Next up, our last play for this game specifically, we will have a same game parlay on this game as well, I should say. But for our mainline plays, Bam Adebayo over 0.5 made 3-pointers, plus 130 odds at DraftKings. It should still be priced at that plus 130 number. Last I checked, it was. But you can see the up-to-date odds on DraftKings if not. I will admit I missed the train on this a little bit when it was priced in like the plus 300s for the last couple weeks of the regular season. But I do still think it's a good spot for Bam to make it just 1 3-pointer. And for the plus 130 odds, I still think it's worth hitting at that number as well. Embiid's going to guard Bam. It's a center versus center matchup. Embiid is not one that wants to go out to the perimeter, especially for a guy like Bam, who's not, Kristaps Porzingis. He's not even Al Horford in terms of a shooting big man. So Embiid's not even going to bother guarding him to the perimeter. He's going to leave him wide open. He's going to stay close to the paint, and he's going to beg him and specifically let him shoot. Now, Bam also hasn't turned himself into quite a shooter like that, but he has been shooting more recently. If you look at his last 10 games, he's made at least 1 3-pointer in 5 of those 10 games, which that doesn't sound like a crazy hit percentage, but compare that. So Bam played 71 games this year. He hit 1 3-pointer in 5 of the last 10. Compare that to the first 61 games of the season. He only made a 3-pointer in 7 games. So it's 7 of 61 versus 5 of 10 shows you how much more he's shooting. And that does include a game against the Sixers, the same game that I've been talking about where Embiid played. He made 1 3-pointer in that game. His volume isn't anything crazy. I'm not going to pretend, like I said, that he's shooting a ton. But considering that we just need him to make 1 3-pointer, and considering Embiid's probably going to leave him wide open the entire game from the perimeter, I think it's a really good spot for him to make a 3-pointer at the plus 130 odds. It's definitely worth it. Lock that bad boy in on DraftKings. And look, it's now time in the NBA, the 82-game quote-unquote preseason, because, the NBA really has devalued the regular season. There's so many teams that don't really show up until the playoffs. Now's the time. The preseason's in the books. It's finally time for the real season where players try hard on defense. Every single game matters. You're seeing crazy adjustments. You're seeing all of the teams go out, play their starters, play their key bench guys, heavy minutes, try to win. You're not going to want to miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Starting with the play-in, taking you all the way through the finals. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting if you want to hop in some futures. They do a ton of promotions like odds boost and stuff. Get in on that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code NBA Bets. New customers get $5, can turn that into $200 in bonus bets instantly. Code NBA Bets only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right. Next game, we're looking at the Hawks versus Bulls. I'm going to have one mainline play. I'm going to have one player prop. Mainline play, we're looking at Bulls -3. It's this -110 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. I'm just taking the Bulls, obviously, to win and cover. When you compare this, game, Hawks Bulls, to the Western Conference games, it's night and day difference. The Heat Sixers game is awesome. Not saying it about that, but this Hawks Bulls game is like the most boring game you could possibly imagine for a play-in game. Especially, again, when you compare that to the two West games yesterday. Steph Curry in one game, LeBron in the other, the Pelicans. Neither of the Lakers or the Warriors were the home team. And then we get Hawks Bulls. But I actually lean the Bulls pretty comfortably here. I like the Bulls quite a bit. They have not been incredible, but they've quietly been playing decent basketball. I mean, basically since the start of the new year, since 2024 and on, and specifically as the season has gone on recently as well. Now, nobody's hanging the banner for this, but over the past 15 games of the season, they actually had a positive net rating, and they were mostly neutral from January 2024 and on, which, again, nobody's hanging that banner. But when you compare that to the Hawks, who had a horrible end to the year, they won 2 games in a row against the Celtics, which looks good. But in their last 15 games, they have a net rating of -4.6. That's 21st in the NBA. That's a horrible number. And they're pretty banged up, too. Now, they're getting Trae Young back, but DeJounte Murray had been playing really well, leading the charge. Now, the team wasn't performing that well, so maybe having Trae Young back will help them. It's not like they were good in the games that Trae Young played either. And as I mentioned, they're banged up. Jalen Johnson's out for this game. He's really important for them. It's going to be a brutally boring game, admittedly. I mean, Trae Young can be kind of exciting, but more so with the Bulls. There's nothing exciting about the Bulls, but I think they win and cover this one pretty comfortably. My one player prop that I also really did like, this is probably, I don't know. I actually like the board for both these games quite a bit. But Trae Young over 10.5 assists, -106 odds per the Betting Pros consensus, I think is just a total smash play. In terms of all my player props, I'd probably say this is my favorite one more than the Embiid and the Bam one. I do like those, but this play I think is awesome. The odds have just been skyrocketing in the wording here, skyrocketing, making it more and more likely in terms of an odds perspective that Trae Young hits this play. It came out at +110. Then it went to +100, which was where I myself locked it in at. I would still play it at the -106 number that it's currently offered at least last I checked. You can see the best offered price on DraftKings on the screen here. But Trae, so looking at him, he missed 2 months, broken finger. Since he's returned, he's only played in 3 games. In those 3 games, he has 11, 7, and 12 assists. So he's gone over in 2 of the 3 games. But the most important thing to look at is his last game, he played 32 minutes, which is good. And he had 26 potential assists, which is crazy. That's an absurd number, which is more, he's not going to average, obviously, 26, but playing 32 minutes and racking up a bunch of potential assists is more in line with a normal Trae Young game. In his first game back, he only played 20 minutes, but he still had 11 assists in those 20 minutes. Then his second game, he played 27 minutes, which is the game he had 7 assists and went under. Last game, as I mentioned, he played 32, had 12 assists. Trae said he's feeling fine, that he feels good, so he should play his normal allotment of playoff minutes, which is like 38, 40, even sometimes over 41 minutes. That would not shock me at all. And this is an excellent matchup for Trae Young to rack up a bunch of assists. He's played the Bulls in 2 games this year. In those 2 games, he had 13 and 14 assists. If you look at last year, he cashed it in 2 of 3 games last year. So if you look at the last 5 games he's played against the Bulls, he's cashed it in 4 of 5. He's averaging over 20 potential assists in those 5 games. And even in the 2 games this year, he's averaging over 20 potential assists as well. He's dominated the Bulls from an assist perspective. And it makes a ton of sense when you dive into the matchup. The Bulls are one of the better matchups specifically for point guard assists. And the reason why is because they're really, really aggressive helping off of shooters from the corner, and then also crashing off of the big man if you run a pick and roll. So Trae Young's going to run a pick and roll with Clint Capella. The Bulls defense, their style, will be to sell out to stop Trae Young from scoring, and that will leave the roll man open, or it will leave shooters wide open as well. And to give you some numbers to back that up, on the entire season, the Bulls allow the fourth most points per game to pick and roll men. That's basically 100% of the time an assisted shot, unless he misses and gets the putback or something like that. But when roll men score, that's generally an assist from the pick and roll ball handler. The Bulls are also giving up the fifth most points per game to spot up shooters. A spot up shooter is a catch and shoot opportunity that is also assisted if you're catching and shooting. Those are like the two biggest ways Trae Young racks up assists. He runs one of them. He's like one of the heaviest pick and roll ball handler guards in the NBA. It's a perfect dream matchup for him to rack up a bunch of assists. Let's hope he does cash this banger for us. And now, before I get into the same game parlay, I want to talk to you about a 1-year premium subscription giveaway. If you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's your place to start betting smarter, not bet harder. All you need to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and then comment on this video. Hopefully you're already subscribed, but if not, please hit that subscribe button and then comment. You do those two things and you'll be entered. A winner will be announced right here on the channel, so you can turn notifications on, be alerted when new episodes drop, and come in and claim your prize. But a 1-year premium subscription giveaway. Comment, subscribe. Now for our same game parlay of the day. We're going with the Heat game, the Heat Sixers, and it's basically the three plays I already talked about. The same game parlay will run you plus 380 odds at FanDuel. It's the Heat covering 5.5 points. That's leg 1, Heat plus 5.5. Leg 2 is Bam Adebayo over 0.5 made 3-pointers. Embiid's going to leave him open. He's just got to hit one shot. And then I watered down Embiid to 4+ assists as well. I couldn't take him to get 5+. It was either 4+ or 6+. So I wanted to be a little bit safer. But as I mentioned, I love the Embiid assist angle in this one. Plus 380 odds for these three. I cashed my same game parlay to end the season. Let's hope we can cash our first play-in one as well. And that was my same game parlay of the day. If you want to build your own same game parlays, check out the Betting Pros Same Game Parlay Builder. When you're placing SGP bets, same game parlay equals SGP. You're combining multiple bets within a single NBA game. And using the Betting Pros Same Game Parlay Builder, you can leverage different insights. Like you can look at correlated bet recommendations. So basically put plays that are positively correlated together in a same game parlay. You can look at strictly just EV ratings, place the highest positive expected value, SGP. You can look at cover probability. So what are the plays that are most likely to hit? Put those in a parlay. Perfect your betting strategy by analyzing Betting Pros' overall correlation grades, projections. Stay ahead of the curve by looking at same game parlays placed by fellow bettors via the app as well. Start building winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. And that's all we got. 5 official bangers plus 1 same game parlay for you guys to lock in. Let's hope we have a good day today. Catch you guys on Friday, and I appreciate you all for tuning in.